To us, magic sounds like this extraordinary thing, pulling a rabbit out of the hat, coming out of nowhere. But it's here, it's real, and the more that we are open to the unseen, to the energies of this world, to abundance and manifesting, to calling in and growing, the more we'll be able to call magic into our lives. Join me as I share stories, wisdom, and curiosity around connecting with your higher frequency, tapping into the synchronicities of the universe, and opening up to the unseen possibilities that this world has to offer. I am your host, Dayna Faye, and this is the Ordinary Magic Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ordinary Magic. I am your host, Dayna, and I'm so excited to have on Tywanah Evette today. Tawana is an alchemist, intuitive healer, psychic medium, motivational speaker, and spiritual guide. She steps into her work with open arms and a heart brimming with compassion for her clients, and her purpose is clear: to illuminate your path from darkness into light for those of you who yearn to embrace your true essence and claim your power. I love that, Tawana. Thanks so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to hear a little bit about your story first, and then we can dive into how you help others on their spiritual journey. Have you always been in this work, or did your life kind of take you on a series of events?
No. Well, my mother knew I was psychic too.
No way.
Yes. My pop-pop, she was in the kitchen frying chicken, and back then in the 70s, a lot of kitchens had doors, and she heard me in the living room kind of squealing, and I was going, "Pop-pop, you can't catch me." And she's looking around like, okay, my dad's not here. And she gets the phone call. My pop-pop had transitioned. So he came to me first. And actually, if you see this light go brighter, that's him.
Oh, wow.
So she was a psychic. She worked with me some psychically, teaching me some things. And then when she married my natural father at 10, that's where my life really changed. So first of all, he was a deacon. And so it was hush, hush, hide, you don't know anything, you don't see anything, things like that. And he was very abusive in ways that no daughter should have ever experienced from her father. And I was impregnated by him at 15. And so my life really, really, really took a turn for the worse. Then I shut all my gifts down. And I always make the joke, the Encyclopedia Britannica, which is all we had back then, did not teach you how to heal from something like that, And so, you put it in the back of your mind, you keep moving forward. And I did administrative work for 30 years, even worked for White House appointees, and got in a car wreck. It pretty much knocked me down. It took my career for a while. I'm still having complications from that car wreck 20 years ago, but chose the wrong people to be around, naturally so. That's the expected path now that we know about psychology and how that works. But have 3 beautiful, beautiful daughters and 2 of the most amazing grandkids to ever be born. And 2.5 years ago, I tried to take my life. I was with a 4th grade teacher. I thought I chose better. This time I just knew I chose better. And my therapist said he checks every box for a covert narcissist. So I would be torn down daily. Couldn't do anything right. Different sets of rules for me versus him. I can't go to the gym, but he can hang out with his teacher friends. He was the first one I ever told about the pregnancy from my father. And he even went as far as to make fun of me with his family and tell the teacher friends at school about it and make fun of it.
I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay. It's part of my story, and there's not one part of my story that I resent anymore. It brought me to where I am today. So, of course, mandatory therapy, blah, 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 things like that when you try to take your life. And I moved up to DC. My sister had just lost her husband, so she was kind of lost. And she had this 6-month-old cane corso that she had no idea what to do with. And so here comes Auntie.
Is that a dog?
Yes, he is the most amazing dog ever. And his name is X, and he is Auntie's baby. And so I moved in to help her heal and to help train him because he's 6 months old and he's wild and crazy. And he lost his person too. And when I moved into my apartment, my mother's voice got so loud. I couldn't ignore it anymore. There was one instance where, like, I would see my brother-in-law who had passed. I would see him and stuff around the house, and I would just act like I don't see you and I don't hear you and things like that. And the dog would be looking and, I'd go in the other direction. And one time when they first called the government back into the office, my sister works with the city government, and she went back into the office, and I'm sitting there playing with the dog in the den, and then I got distracted with 90 Day Fiancé on TV, and I looked up and he said something, and I turned around and I said, "What?" And then I was like, "Oh my God, you messed up." Oh, and he goes, "I knew you could hear me and I knew you could see me." And I'm like, "Oh God, why me?"
So you were there helping her heal along with training the dog, and you could see and hear him.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And ignoring him, I did so well for 8 months of ignoring him. It was right before I moved into my apartment too. I did so well. And he says, "I need you to give your sister a message." And I'm like, "Oh God, can't I give you a piece of paper? Don't you want to just write it in the mirror upstairs so that when she takes her shower, she can see it? You want to write it on her notepad, on her note, something, but not me. She's not spiritual." He's like, "No, you have to give her the message." And so I actually waited 9 months to give her that message. And when I moved into my apartment, my mom's voice got really loud. I couldn't ignore it. I tried to sleep through it. I tried to turn the TV up. I tried everything. It got to the point where she started controlling the electronics in the house because she's like, "You are not going to ignore me anymore." And she had me scripting. So I would sit outside. For 2 years, pretty much, I sat outside all night.
Wow.
In the cold coat. I even bought a heated blanket to put over me because I'm in the DC area. And finally in February, she says, "It's time to use your voice." And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "It's time to use your voice to help others." And I'm like, we didn't talk about this. Wait a minute. Hold on. Like, no, I'm supposed to stay in the background. My good friend, my coach, she pushed me into this podcast community. And the call for the podcast for the season 7, episode 1 show went out, and I was volunteered. And so I did it. I was shaking so bad. So I announced to the world I'm a psychic. I finally announced to the world who I was. I was able to take all those masks that I had to wear my entire life and burn them and throw them away and get rid of the ashes. And so after that, there's a publisher that she's connected to that I've been Facebook friends with for a while. I've done one of her challenges years and years ago, who put out a call for an anthology. But the catch was you had to have a website. I didn't have a website. I didn't have a business. I didn't have anything. 48 hours later, I had a website. I had a business. I had everything. And she makes a joke about it in the meetings now because she's like, "I put out this call," and she goes, "Okay, you have to have a website? Okay, I'll see you Monday." And all of a sudden Monday, this beautiful website comes up, and here's Black Butterfly Goddess, and here she is, and this is what she's doing. And I've always wanted to help people. They used to ask me what I wanted to be when I was a little girl. I just said I wanted to help people not have to hurt like me. And so that's always been what I wanted to do, was help people not hurt like me. Because I
Mm.
always felt invisible. Even though my mother, she was a loving mother, she made a lot of mistakes, but I still always felt invisible because I had to wear a mask. And when I showed just a little bit of me, it was always, no. And so Black Butterfly Goddess was built so that I could teach people how to love themselves, so that I could teach people how to be their true, authentic selves and step into their power without shame, without guilt, without any of those emotions that are not ours to carry. Black Butterfly Goddess was born so that people could be transparent not only with themselves but with the world.
Oh, I love that.
Now I coach people on how to heal their trauma, how to be transparent, how to step into their power, how to love themselves, even if that means being alone for the rest of your life. Loving your company so much that that's fine too. And for 2 years, my children and I were separated. They were all adults because after my attempt, it was just too much for them. And I was okay with that. I understood it. I felt that's what I deserved. You know what I mean? I took personal accountability of it. And in every podcast I'm in and every TikTok I do, I say I failed and I effed up. My children stepped away because I failed and I effed up. And so for 2 years, we were in separation until recently. And because I've been willing to be transparent and take full accountability and show others how to do the same, my children and I have
Aw.
reconciled. I get to talk to my little grandbabies anytime I want to. My little granddaughter, she's funny. She brought me Sparkles back there, a little unicorn. And she told me Sparkles has to stay wherever I spend the most time. And so that's at Nana's desk. And then my grandson bought me this.
Aw.
And so I try to wear it as much as possible. And I try to make sure Sparkles is always visible. And, it's a slow process, but it's a beautiful one to be able to talk to them again. I was talking to my daughter a couple of weeks ago and I said, God, I miss talking to you. And she says, Mom, I'm just in the grocery store. And I said, but you're funny. And I miss laughing with you. Those moments I took for granted as a mother, I now honor as a woman because I've taken our titles away from us. We are just grown women now getting to know each other. Yes, they call me mom. Yes, I know they're my daughters. But we're just grown women getting to know each other now.
Hmm.
So that's me in a nutshell. That's what I do, and that's my life.
What a roller coaster of a life you have been on. And I want to honor the fact that you're 2 years out from your suicide attempt and you're sitting here just vibrant and turning, lemons into lemonade, really.
Yes.
And something that you said in there when you told your story, that you do not feel resentful anymore. And I want to take us all the way back, like 2 years old when your mom was a psychic and she was teaching you, but then that got very much squished out of you by trauma and abuse. And then going on your journey of corporate work and like you said, having to wear masks over and over again. And now, like this beautiful black butterfly goddess that you are flying free.
Yes.
But how does that resentment not creep in once in a while?
It doesn't creep in anymore because once you do shadow work and integrate what you perceive the negative traits and the positive traits are, and you turn that pain into your purpose, you can't resent it. It's your purpose. It's why you were put here. So I feel like if I had to endure all of that again, to go through, to be who I am today, to be helping the people that I'm helping today, I've got emails that I've stopped people from ending their own lives. I've got emails from young ladies saying, I wish my parents would take accountability like you do. I would do it all again. So you can't resent it when you know that you know you're in your purpose. The resentment can't creep in there. First of all, it's healed, right? That wound has now healed. There's not even a scar there. And you're taking that event and you're pushing that energy out there so you can bring in good energy of healing others. You can't resent it. It's impossible.
Mm. When you were doing your shadow work, was there a moment in time where you went deep enough that you knew, okay, I've done the shadow work. Now I can come out and turn this into my purpose and move forward? Or were you already like in your purpose and moving forward? Like, is shadow work for you always an ongoing thing? Or is it like, I did the shadow work, I figured it out, I healed, and now I'm moving forward?
Shadow work's an ongoing thing. It's something you do all the time. Every time an event happens, there's a little bit of shadow work that needs to be done. You lose a friend, there's some shadow work behind that. But the deepest part, all of that yuck that I had carried for 47 years, it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. All that exists now is pride that I made it through. Very proud of myself for still being here. Happiness that that attempt failed. Joy, overflowing joy that my children now recognize Mom is not the same person. That is not the same woman we knew 2 years ago. And joy that I can sit alone in my apartment, 2.75 years single and celibate, and happier than I've ever been. Joy that the love that I sought my whole life, that I thought had to come from a partner, I have it now. And it comes from within, as well as the people who show me love, who have never hugged me, who have never asked me to make them dinner, who have never had me clean their house. I've never done anything physical for these people, yet I know they love me. And that in and of itself is miraculous. My youngest daughter was floored the first time she spoke to me. And she goes, "You're not in a relationship?" And I said, "No, not since the last one you knew about." And she goes, "Hold on, wait. Because she's the funny one. She's like, "Wait, hold on, wait. You are not in a relationship. The person who always had to have a relationship is not in a relationship?" And I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "But you're not in a relationship." And I'm like, "No, I'm not in a relationship. I live alone. I've been alone. And I'm happy alone. I don't want one." And she was blown away. She said, "It was so funny. We took the kids for their photo shoot last week, and our oldest sister told us, 'That's not the same mom. You guys need to talk to her, because that is not the same mom that raised us.'" And we went home like laughing, like, out of all three of us, you two had the most trouble, and she's now sticking up for you. And you're not in a relationship. She kept going back to that. So no, I don't resent anything. And in fact, if I saw, I can't call him a man. If I saw the male that I was dating back in 2020 today, I would smile and shake his hand and thank him, because he put me on my road to my purpose.
Mm. And the universe oftentimes sends us those relationships to knock you back onto your road.
Yes.
So while you were finding that self-love from within, not from other people, Hey, magical beings, are you ready to connect deeply with your soul and uncover your true purpose and path? It's Dayna from Ordinary Magic, and I have 2 special offerings just for you. With my human design readings, you'll discover your unique blueprint and learn how to live in harmony with your true nature. And through my soul alignment sessions, we will connect to your higher self and your spirit team to gain profound clarity and deeper connection to your soul's essence. So whether you're facing life's challenges or simply need an energetic tune-up, book your session today and let's embark on this magical journey together. Visit my website at daynafaye.com, and now stay tuned for more soul nourishing content. Did you have some type of spiritual practice like speaking with your spirit guides or that automatic writing or meditating? How did you tune in?
Meditating and talking to my guides and ancestors every day. There are 13 ancestors in this room at all times. My mother's always on my right. My pop-pop's over there on the left, and then the rest are all around. And depending on what's going on, the way they move tells me what's going on. So if everybody's relaxed and in their seats, they all have their seats. If everyone's relaxed and in their chairs, then I know everything's okay. When people start moving around, then I know something's not right. So that's how I did it. I just meditated and talked to my ancestors and spirit guides. And my mom would introduce me. The way I know I'm a 4th generation is my mom would introduce me to the energy first of like my great great grandmother and the one before her. And then she would tell me their name, and then she would remove the mask. It was like a visual shade or scales or whatever you want to call it. And I would be able to see them. Well, she gets to this last one, and she's like, Jerusha. And I'm like, I have never, who the hell is Jerusha? I've never in my life even heard that name. What is a Jerusha? And my mother's humorous. She's a Leo. And she goes, you have the Google. Look it up. And so I spent the Google. Yes, she says the Google. So I spent a whole weekend sitting here through Family Search, through Ancestry, and there's one photo in my mother's lineage, and it's a headstone, Jerusha Reevy, 1805. And she's my little Irish grandmother. She's about 4'2" with red hair. And every morning when I come out my bedroom, she goes, where's my tea? And I'm like, Gigi, we don't have pots by our beds anymore to pee in. Can I go to the bathroom first? You know, there's this separate room now that we go in, and can I do that first? And I literally serve her tea every morning. Every morning.
Wow. That is a next level relationship to your spirit guides and ancestors.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds like they're there, like really there for you.
They are. And my TikTok family sees it. They see it at night when I'm doing readings and this light is going crazy behind me, or my mother will make that eye change colors, or she'll make the gold on the picture start shimmering. This eye will turn blue when she's getting ready to channel. Like they see it all at night. They see it all.
And for those of you who are listening, we're looking at a beautiful black goddess photo behind you that you're pointing to, that the eye will change colors. Yeah.
But they see the proof. And so they know I'm real. And I tell my story, and we have a group song, and we sing it every night. And, you know, every night I'm on. And we hold space for each other. If something is wrong, music stops, white candles come out. You know, what can we do? How can we support you? And I tell them I created my TikTok community for 4 reasons. So everybody feels seen, heard, loved, and understood. Because those are the 4 things I did not feel when I was taking those pills. And so I want everyone to feel that. So it's not just about the card readings that I do or the messages that I give. It's so everyone feels seen, heard, loved, and understood.
That's so, again, you're taking your experience of not feeling that way and sharing it with others on your TikTok community, which is amazing. And it sounds like you said you're mostly on at night. Is that because you can't sleep, or is that just the time you go on?
Most of the time it's because this lady, even if I go to bed at 9:30, she'll wake me up and, whenever, whatever time. Somebody needs you. And if she says somebody needs you, it means hop on TikTok. And whether it's somebody that comes forward or someone that sits in the back, I trust when she says somebody needs me. Somebody needs to hear the message that I'm giving. So as tired as I am, I'll drag myself out of my bed and make Gigi her tea and make my coffee and make my mother's coffee and sit here and play music and just follow whatever the energy, whatever my ancestors have me do or say. And they've heard the ALEXA change music. They've heard it just stop when I'm in the middle of a serious message. She'll just stop it so everybody knows to listen. It's quite an experience. It's quite an experience, but I love it. My followers love me, and I am beyond grateful for them. I'm grateful for my ancestors, and yes, we have a next level relationship. We really do. They got me through those nights where you're screaming from your soul, where you're crying from the depths of your soul. So yeah, we have that next level relationship, and I'm grateful for it.
That's amazing. And for the listeners, I'll link your TikTok in the show notes so you can follow along. And how freeing and brave of you to jump on there and trust that whatever is meant to come through, like you are the vessel for that. It's not coming straight from you. You're holding the space for it.
I tell everyone, even when I'm doing readings, this is the mouth that they chose to use. These are messages from them. They are the wisdom. They are the ones who guide me. I laid on my floor in December and I told my ancestors I surrender. My favorite word in the world is surrender. And it's because the day that I told them I surrender, my life changed. When I stopped fighting, when I stopped trying to run my own life, when I stopped trying to do my own thing, is when opportunities flooded into my world. And so they are the message. They are the ones giving them. I don't know this stuff. I don't know somebody's father passed away last week and he's 6'4" and, wants to tell you blah, blah, blah. Or I remember giving somebody a reading and her father was standing in the doorway of my kitchen, and I looked over and I said, "Whippersnapper, nobody uses that word anymore." And she goes, "Oh my God, that's what he used to call me." And I was like, oh, I felt bad because I'm like, nobody uses that word anymore. And, but these things, they just come through and I just say them. All I have to do is say what I hear and see. And somehow people are healing through it. It's the wildest thing. It's something I never thought I would do. And I was always afraid to come on TikTok. My coach would be like, "Why are you afraid?" And I told her, I said, "What if I give somebody the wrong message?" She said, "You're too authentic to give somebody the wrong message." And so I started on TikTok. And it's funny, she popped onto my live the other night. And I was talking about how, it was hard for her to get me on TikTok. She goes, "Yeah, now I can't get her off." So it's a balance. It's fun. It's something to do. It's exciting. I love to see people's faces light up when they realize, that it's their loved one that's coming through. It's a beautiful scene when you see somebody cry because they have relief, because their mother did love them, or their father wants to give them a message, or, even their lost child. I've had little children in here. It's quite something. I've given men messages and they're just like, "You were so spot on." It's unbelievable. So I don't like to brag, but I haven't been wrong yet. I haven't given one wrong message yet. And it's because if I don't hear it, I won't say it. And even sometimes if I hear it, I'm going to question it a while before I say it.
Yeah, it's a trippy thing. I'm also starting to channel for people, and man, does my mind jump in and doubt the messages I receive. And I
Yes.
have to push myself to share them. And then I get this amazing feedback, and I'm like, oh, this is so exhausting. Why did I like torment myself so much?
Exactly. Have you started like channeling yet? Where someone takes over and then you're like, what happened?
That sounds like a trance channel.
Yeah.
And no, I haven't. And I would love to hear your advice on that. I think I'm scared to allow that to happen.
I didn't get the choice when it first happened. It is a little nerve wracking, I'm not gonna lie, because you feel a sensation. And like with my mom, I know when she's gonna do it. My eye is turning blue. She's like, all right, this person keeps saying it. I'm coming in. I'm coming in. She'll tell me. Papa Marcus, who is my great grandfather, my mother's grandfather, he'll start pacing back and forth. He'll get out the seat and start pacing. The chief, who is my great great grandfather, chief of the Shinnecock Indians, Long Island, New York, now known as the Hamptons, he stands in the corner and he'll start walking over. And I'm like, oh, somebody's in trouble. Because he stands in the corner quietly. And unless I'm doing a reading where you have Native American roots or somebody has done something just completely out of bounds, he doesn't move. He'll just stand there. And so if he starts walking over, I'm like, oh. And then Gigi, if she channels, she'll make my face red here because she's Irish. So my face will turn red here. With Papa Marcus, with Papa, even with Mom, my accent changes. I have one deep, deep Southern ancestor from my stepfather. And she channeled through a couple of weeks ago. I didn't even know she was here. And I asked somebody, who was that came through? She was like, I don't know. She said, but I just started rocking and acting like I was picking peas on a porch. She said, that's how Southern you sounded. So energetically, it's exhausting. You are very tired afterwards. And if it's like Mom or Pop, they know how to use the energy. It's not as bad. The first time I channeled was for an ex-friend in Atlanta, and her grandmother was frantic and kind of just jumped in. And I had a spinal cord stimulation device at the time, and I had just charged it. She zapped that completely down to zero. It was at 100 when we started. She zapped it, and when we were done, I'm like, what happened? And my ex-friend, she's like, that was my grandma Rosa. I'm like, who's Rosa? Because I intentionally don't ask questions even of my friends about their ancestors or anything in case they do want a reading and they come through. This way they know when they hear names, when they hear accents, when they see my face change, they know it's real. So I make that intention of not asking. And if someone tries to tell me, I ask them, please stop. So the ancestors are protective. They've not let anything scary or angry come through. It's usually very nice messages, things people need to hear, things people want to hear.
Yeah.
I've never had any bad experiences or anything. My home feels peaceful inside.
Yeah. I had a friend ask me about that actually, who is religious,
Mm-hmm.
and they're a little freaked out, like, Dayna, be careful because you could let, you know, darker beings in. Like, that's how people get possessed. And I said, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. I make my intention of a very high vibration when I
Exactly.
invite in my client's higher self. Yeah. And their spirit team and their energy. I am making that intention of this is only of a high vibration, whatever is meant to really come through.
Yes.
And so I'm not worried about that. And because I'm not worried about that, that's also another shield. But I agree with you. And so that's so interesting about the trance channel. And for those of you listening who are like, what the heck is trance channeling? It is where you really actually allow that spirit energy that isn't in human form anymore to come into your body and channel through you. And yes, when you see many trance channelers, their accents change. They start talking like that person did. And oftentimes they don't even remember what they said because it's that person taking over your vessel. And what you said about the energy is like, I imagine because I do channeling where I'm getting the visuals and the feelings through my chakras and the messages. After
Mm-hmm.
every session so far, it feels like I drank 3 cups of coffee. Like I have to go shower because I'm like soaking wet and
Yes, yes, yes. Well, it's also psychic protection because you don't want anything, whether it's podcast, even after podcast, if I've had a day of podcast, I put Florida water and salt in my body wash so I never forget to cleanse those energies, other people's energies off of me. Be it good, bad, or indifferent. You know what I mean? Podcasters don't mean any harm to me, but
yeah.
I don't know what they have going on in their life, and I don't want to feel those energies. So I always make sure I've got sea salt and Florida water. As soon as I get my Dove body wash, open it up, pour some of that in there, shake it up a little bit, and this way I'm I don't forget in my exhaustion, in my states of exhaustion, I don't forget. And I spray my bed with Palo Santo at night.
That's a great practice. What do you say to some of the people, whether they're following you on TikTok or your clients, who are feeling really sensitive? I mean, I feel like the world, people's consciousness are really evolving, and I think more people are tuning into their psychic intuitive abilities. And at the same time, there's a lot of collective fear and anger and duress going on in this world. What advice would you give to people for just simple practices that they can have for either clearing or grounding their energy?
Hematite before you go out, whether it's a hematite bracelet, hematite necklace, keep it on you. Onyx is another good one. I don't leave home without the evil eye bracelet. I don't do anything without it. My kids have them, my grandkids have them. As far as women are concerned, honestly, cover your head. Your crown chakra is your receptor, it's your antenna, and you do not want to absorb everybody else's thoughts and feelings and things. So the more open your crown chakra is, the more you need to cover your head. So I never leave the house unless my head is covered. Now, there are times where I am in certain spaces and my mother tells me it's safe to just wear your hair out. But if I'm going to the store, head's covered because I don't want everyone else's energies. And it's usually a black one. It's usually one that, does not allow that absorption to come through. Ground before you go. If you can put your feet in the grass before you leave, please do it. Even more when you come back. Even better when you come back. Close your eyes for a few seconds. I know it's hard to stay still, and I know it's hard to, keep the mind from going these days. But close your eyes for a few minutes and envision a white bubble around you, a bubble of white light. Before I go anywhere, I ask ancestors, spirit guides that are here for my highest good, deities, animals, spirit animals, please go before me. And if anything is there before me, send me home. And there have been times where I have left, and 5 minutes later they say, go back. And I come back. I listen. I just listen. And life has been so much easier. I'm not saying life is perfect. I'm just saying life has been so much easier since I started listening and stopped fighting, stopped trying to do it my way. I wasn't chosen to do it my way. The siblings that I have that weren't chosen, they get to do it their way. But I'm the chosen one.
Yeah. Surrender.
Exactly. I'm having that. I'm putting that tattooed on me somewhere at some point because it is my favorite word. Once you surrender, your life changes, and it changes for the better.
Well, I love that. Thank you so much, Tawana, for gracing us with your presence today and for sharing your story, which is quite a vulnerable one. I had so many chills throughout our entire conversation seeing you on the other side. I think it will give the listeners so much hope for whatever hard times they are walking through in their life. And that's what we're here for, to overcome that and transmute it and share it with others. So thank you so much.
And thank you so much for having me. I loved our conversation, and I wish you so much peace and harmony with your channeling journey. You've got quite a gift, and yeah, you'll be trans channeling very soon. So get prepared.
Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And just real quick, lastly, where would you like people to find you? Do you want to share your TikTok channel?
I am Black Butterfly Goddess everywhere. So every social media, my website, everything is Black Butterfly Goddess.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ordinary Magic is a Lit Path Studios production, produced by Jamie Gale and Dayna Faye. Music is by Shane Ivers. Until next time, I wish you many powerful moments of ordinary magic.